Hey everybody, Hobo for Craft, aka MrHobo. Got a StarCraft 2 Shoutcast here. Going to be a DuckloadRa, the red Protoss on the top of Xel'Naga Caverns here. I'm going to be calling him WhiteRa because I grew up with WhiteRa, not DuckloadRa. And he is going to be playing Virus Naama. Naama, somewhat of a recent name, had been doing pretty well in Go4 SE2 Cups and actually did take first place at what was that? DreamHack. Yeah, he took first at DreamHack recently, won over players such as Top or Mana, so definitely a solid player. And WhiteRa, I just think of him dominating beta whenever I think of WhiteRa. Still dominates StarCraft 2 today, and actually is kind of known for being old, but I don't really necessarily think he's old. I think he's upper 20s or lower 30s, but you can never be too old to play any type of game, in my opinion. It's fun. You're never too old to have fun. Um, okay, anyway, it's going to be a pretty standard build. Do have a gateway going down here. Naama looks like he went for a pseudo wall off here, really throwing off WhiteRa. He thought he was going for that block off, but ha! He's not. And we do have that refinery going down. Just might throw down a second barracks, who knows? Maybe he's going for a 3 supply depot wall off, but you don't really see those too often unless you're in gold. But not to diss it, it's just very odd to see. And both players just macroing up what you would see normally in just about any game. And we do have that gas now getting saturated by WhiteRa. Will he go for that Zealot, or is he going to wait just for a Stalker? A Zealot Stalker definitely is the more conservative thing to do. You can get rid of this SEV in your base more quickly with the Zealot chasing it around. And you can also send these 2 units, which would be a Stalker and a Zealot, out to your opponent early to be able to scout around, maybe do a little bit of damage. And we do have a Marine going out to the Xel'Naga. Will it advance further than that? I doubt it. And yes, it will just be scouting for right now. Maybe he's heading over to the other tower. Very ambitious Marine. I like it. We do have the Zealot come out and actually will pick off this SEV. I'm going to call that great Zealot micro by WhiteRa, and I'm not going to say it was terrible SEV micro here by Naama, because that would be mean, and WhiteRa is just amazing. So obviously it was all WhiteRa right there. WhiteRa right there. How did I say that correctly? Wow, I'm impressed with myself. We do have a Reaper. Oh, I definitely like this build. Anytime I see a Reaper, I get excited because it's been dead ever since that one patch. Because that 5x Reaper build, it was insane. It was way too overpowered. I said, especially as a Zerg player, but I didn't want Reapers to be killed off completely. Lately, though, we have been seeing them as mainly scout units in builds such as this in the game, which is fine because they're definitely very good at what they do. And if you control them correctly, you can even get off a couple harvester kills. So I still like the Reapers as a unit. I just wish they were used more. Though you can't really use them in late game or else you'd just be silly. But we will get this probe picked off, so this will delay the expansion. And it's going to be attacking the Sentry. It actually will take out the Sentry. Wow. Reaper versus Sentry. Reaper wins. I did not see that coming. Looks like he did kite a little bit, but I don't know if that actually helped him because the Sentry could reach him the whole time, so I don't know. And you know what? This Reaper may seem pretty insignificant, but it really is giving him a lot of map control. Would be able to take out the Zealot? No. Very ambitious, but no. Stalker is able to come for the rescue. And now this tech lab actually isn't being used at all. That's kind of sad. But the Reaper did give a good bit of map control and map sight to Naama for that short period. WhiteRa keeping a probe at the bottom of the ramp. Very smart thing to do. We do have a scan going down. You will see that a robotics facility is in the works. And we do have this next gateway going down. And the only reason this is going down is because we do have this expansion on the way. If we did not see this expansion, you would either go for a 3 gateway robo, or you go for a 3 or 4 gateway, excuse me. You can't really finance all of this on one base, so DuckloadRa is teching in anticipation of his finishing expo, and the starport finally being thrown down on this lonely tech lab. Bunker's still up, and this is somewhat of a common build that we see from Terrans, is just kind of bunkering up early for a bit of defense so that they can start to gear up for an expansion, get a little marine tank play going, and possibly Vikings if needed, but almost always medevacs as well, because that MMM ball is so strong, and when you get those tanks for positioning and whatnot in there, just a very good situation. One scouting Hellion is picked off, and that certainly is not ideal. That means he probably will have to use another scan. Robo facility is finished, but no observer coming out of it. Oh, that's because it's already finished. You're way ahead of me, DuckloadRa. And we are getting more Chrono Boosts used on just probes here. And one of the reasons why DuckloadRa is so good is that his macro is just awesome. He's always using Chrono Boosts. Sometimes I watch professional players and they have just full Chrono Boost at this point in the game on both of their Nexuses. I'm like, that cannot be right. But we are getting a Warp Prism out, and actually notice the unit composition from DuckloadRa. Oh, there goes the observer down. That is not a good situation. Very nice placement by this turret. But what we were talking about unit composition. A couple of Stalkers is all he showed Naama, and these are the only units he really has seen be confrontational to him. And so what he thinks is probably a standard gateway build with maybe a couple of Immortals, because he did see that robotics facility. Maybe he was thinking a tech to Colossi as well. But really brilliant, keeping all these Zealots back, and actually a very, very heavy Zealot composition against Marine, Marauder, and even Tank is very effective, especially when you split the army. You got force fields going on, you got Guardian Shield. A lot of Zealots can really do a ton of damage, though he is going for Blink. I disagree with this a little bit. He obviously is going to be going for Stalkers later in the game, but I think when you don't go for Colossi, you want to go for heavy Zealots, because the Stalkers will just get eaten alive when they don't have those Colossi zapping away behind them. So this is going to be interesting. And we did have a Banshee harassing in the meantime. Did not do much. Just fell to bits and pieces in the area of the probes. I don't know what I was going for there. That was going to start with an S. But Naama actually is going to gear up for another expansion, as is DuckloadRa. So keeping on the same terms of expanding, both players, and Naama actually going for another Banshee. DuckloadRa got a good positioning with that tower there, and he will be able to blink on top of this Banshee and hopefully take it out for his sake. Though the Banshee is much faster than this observer, so he will not be able to scout it the whole way through. Here comes another Warp Prism, or rather the same one with another drop. He's going to come into the back of the mineral line and did absolutely nothing. And he is just going to drop, because I think he realized this probably was going to get taken down. And that was completely useless. Though just doing a good job of keeping his opponent on his toes. Did he scout? Yeah, he did scout that there is another expansion going down. His, in fact, is already building. And actually he is going for Colossi. Huh, I think I missed the robotics bay. But he's also getting extended thermal lance and +1 attack. So it looks like he's in pretty good shape. His opponent, though, is really starting to get a pretty menacing force, as we are seeing more and more Marines and Marauders. More and more MMM. Except -1M, because there are no medevacs. But we do get the Vikings out. I think Naama does realize, yeah, he has scouted that robotics bay. So, what do you do against Colossi? You go for some Vikings. Unless you're Liquid TLO and you just mass Marines. If you have not seen that game where TLO had just mass Marines against some Protoss dude, go watch it. It's awesome. And sorry I couldn't be more specific than that because I have no idea who he was playing. But I digress. We do have that now +2 attack in the works. We do have +1 Terran vehicles and combat shield on the way. He definitely already has stim. If he didn't, he wouldn't be Naama. But he is, so he does. And Naama denied of scouting this expansion. Yeah, he doesn't know anything about it. There is a nicely placed photon cannon. Oh, I like this because normally you can't throw down a photon cannon back here really. But this is a nice reach, definitely a very creative way of dealing with this. And I don't know if this is going to be reached all the way, but we will get those stalkers warped in, so this will be dealt with pretty easily. And the range of the photon cannon's sight is pretty far, but I really like how Naama is using Banshees very late in the game when normally you wouldn't see them. I think it's throwing DuckloadRa off a little bit. He's able to get a decent amount of kills, but really delaying any sort of push DuckloadRa might want to follow through with because of just the annoyance of the Banshees. And especially during an engagement, Banshees can toll up a lot of damage, especially if they're not focus fired down. So late game Banshees, I give the thumbs up to Naama. Meanwhile, we do see a sensor tower and a missile turret going down, and I really love the sensor tower. I don't know why it's used so little, but enough of that. It looks like we're going to get a little bit of confrontation. Duckload is just going to be heading out, actually. He does not want to engage at this exact point, but he's going to be taking advantage of the long range of the Colossi here. Going to possibly take down this bunker. Here comes a Banshee. Big bad Banshee. And it will not do a thing. Even he is afraid of the Colossi, when Colossi cannot in fact attack air. But we do have 4 out on the field. That's going to be huge, especially with the attack already at +2, about to be +3. And we only have +1 here for Naama, so it's going to be a little bit of a sticky situation. This is most certainly a ball of death. Doesn't have this amount of sentries that would be ideal, but he does have the positioning for sure. And I don't think Naama wants to come anywhere near this ball of death. I already used that, but whatever. He is going to counter push himself, and we might just have a base race going on here. I think DuckloadRa could probably pull back and come out ahead at this point. His army is pretty mobile with that blink and the long legs of the Colossi, but it looks like he's going to be scrambling. He's going to keep a couple of units up in the main of his base, but everything just going up in flames at Naama's base. He has absolutely no unit producing structures except for these 2 barracks. And Duckload's just going to be going all over the place to make sure he has buildings alive in hidden positions. Looks like +3 did not finish. And this is going to be a very odd game. We're going to have buildings floating all over the place, and I guess we are eventually going to see a confrontation. Duckload having everything depowered and destroyed. Trying to scramble at all places over the map. And we're going to have a little bit of a scout with this Viking. And I think DuckloadRa realizes that he is going to lose this if he just lets the Terran float all over the place. Going to be trying to take down these barracks, and I assume he's actually just going to go for an attack against Naama, who is in his main, setting up shop. Really likes what Duckload did with the place. And wow, Naama is really feeling at home. There come a couple tank hits. We can see with that +1 attack just how much damage one of those volleys will do. Huge amounts of damage. We could see a re-expansion right here, which definitely would be a good idea, though his expansion is already up back here. Did throw down a couple of structures behind here, and DuckloadRa is looking to be pretty well off. He has Naama kind of in this odd situation, stuck up here. And if he had sentries, that would really be just so ideal for him, because he could keep him in this base for an indefinite amount of time. Looks like we are going to have a couple of structures picked off. He doesn't want to lose any of these Colossi, though, that's for sure. Look at all the damage he did, and only for the cost of a couple shields from the Colossi. Very nice play. And these bunkers are going to be proving quite useless to the range of the Colossi. Though the range of the tanks is quite menacing as well. Range 7. Though with this extended thermal lance, of course, we do have range 9 for the Colossi. Chrono boosting out probes, and we're starting pretty much from scratch as far as economy goes for both players. And Naama kind of going for the pathetic 2 mineral patches that are left, getting the gas, running on almost nothing, throwing down the mules even, and he's going to leave the rest of these minerals to this alone mule. Meanwhile, it looks like he's going to have a long distance mining relationship. Duckload's going to be scouting this. And he's going to head over, try and take out any of this that he can. And he's really all over the place, and I think that there's just no way we can see Naama take this game at this point. He's kind of trapped in this little death base. I don't know, but he can't do anything really, is what I'm trying to say. These 4 Colossi out just about the whole game have really just been the stars of the game. Let's I wonder what their death toll is. 7 kills on one, 7 kills on another, 6 and 7. So a total of about 28, but in reality 27 kills for all of them. So very effective this far in the game, and all of them have stayed alive for at least 10 minutes game time, so that's pretty impressive. But Naama did have a bit of a bank account open, so he's going to be investing his savings in some fine young Viking men, I assume is what he's gearing up with all these starports, especially against these menacing Colossi, because I think if he plays his tanks well enough somehow, and with the few EMPs and Marauders he does have, as long as he can get rid of the Colossi, he could be in okay shape. But it looks like Duckload is just going to be going right into it, and we did have a nice EMP. Naama just waiting for that, and this point defense drone is proving to be priceless in a good way. And just soaking up a lot of that stalker damage, exactly what it's meant for. Poking around a little bit to see what's going on with this Banshee here. And Duckload is really just waiting for the perfect time, the perfect positioning. And he did throw down a Dark Shrine a while ago, but I don't think he's going to be using it anytime soon. A couple stray units he could be using. Not a big deal. Oh, but we do have a lot of SCVs roaming around where they should not be. This is dangerous territory. Do not talk to the Stalker Strangers. They have bad candy. Oh, but we do have High Templar out. Alright. Very good idea from DuckloadRa here. Pretty cost efficient, and he wouldn't have to wait for a robotics bay to start pumping out Colossi again. So a good way to get splash damage without having to rebuild that bay or throwing down a pylon here. He could have done that, I guess. But once he gets those storms, I think he is going to go for a push. My guess is he's going to come from the side and engage these tanks directly with the sight he will have from these Colossi and be able to take the game from there. DuckloadRa obviously playing very safely. He really wants to win this game. A couple of feedbacks go down on these Banshees. And he did not kill much. Let's see. Maybe 11 probes at most, but I don't think that was from this harass right here. We do have an Archon now. And oh no, DuckloadRa, you're going right past all those tanks. That was a lot of wow, that was a lot of Stalkers you just lost right there. And I don't think we have Psionic Storm yet. There goes an EMP just in case they did want to go for any of those storms. And I think Naama is moving out with relative ease here. This Archon going to be taken out by these Banshees. He has 5 Banshees out on the field, proving to be very effective. I guess he wasn't going for Vikings after all. Now bringing this Orbital Command over here where there's a decent amount of patches of minerals left. And I think DuckloadRa actually might be on the back foot now. Not looking like he's in too good of a situation. Where's his Observer? He's going to be needing that against all of these Cloaked Banshees. There it is. And Naama just might be able to pull this off if he can start getting some income. We do have DuckloadRa going in for the kills, just going to blink into everything, going straight for the tanks. This point defense drone doing its job. We have all of these Colossi zapping away relentlessly. There goes a couple of feedbacks and a Psy Storm right on top of all those Banshees. They're in pretty bad condition right here. Blinking back, taking out everything that they need. These Banshees trying desperately to avenge their fallen friends, but I think to no avail. This tank is going to go down, and that will be the last one. This turret trying to get in on the action, but Naama realizes it is going to be game over, and he will eventually leave. Wow. So, very exciting game. Looks like it was going to be pretty even after that base race, though I think Naama kind of had it a little tough. He did have a little spark of hope when he was able to move out, but DuckloadRa, just a very scary unit composition, as always seems to be the case with Protoss. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Hobo4Craft signing out.